The kind girl saw her husband off in the morning but received a cold look. She did not complain and quietly went to the alley at the end of the street. She took out a nameplate and hung it on the door of the room. This was where she worked. The girl began to dress up and prepare to receive customers. Soon the first customer arrived. "Did Aunt Wang introduce you?" The man did not answer. He only asked how old she was. The girl whispered, 15. She tried to take off the customer's hat, but the man grabbed her arm. It was covered in bruises. They were likely left by other customers. The girl only applied some soot and said she was used to it. Then the customer applied medicine for her. Yunxiang was very grateful because in this world, good people like him were rare. The customer only talked to her and asked about her background. It turned out Yunxiang's family was very poor. She said her husband worked hard every day to support the family. But the customer said she was lying because earlier he saw her husband in the casino, a hopeless gambler. The customer revealed an uglier truth. He was introduced by her husband. Her husband said his wife was very beautiful. Tears filled Yunxiang's eyes. Her husband not only knew she sold her body but also encouraged it. But Yunxiang did not scold him. At night, she took out all her wedding jewelry to pay some of his debts. When her husband saw it, he promised to stop gambling and swore they could live happily again. But the next day, after he took all the jewelry and left, the customer from last night appeared again. He said, "Your husband won't return because he sold you to the casino. This is the contract." The girl couldn't believe it and cried. She slipped and fell. At the same time, red spider lily buds grew around her. The customer then revealed the truth. The townspeople grew corrupt because of her, because she hosted the red spider lily in her heart. This flower only grew in kind people, but it made those around her wicked. The customer was actually Dinghua, a traveling monk. Dinghua and his group collected red spider lilies. They did this to save the world. They convinced good people to die to save the wicked. Yes, it was ridiculous. To save bad people, a good person had to die. Most hosts agreed to sacrifice themselves because they were too kind. The heartbroken girl ran toward home. Red spider lilies bloomed behind her. Another monk tried to kill her, but Dinghua stopped him. The flowers were poisoning the town's wicked people. If not stopped, more would die. But Dinghua refused. At home, the girl held the flute her husband once gave her. In her other hand, she held an awl. She lay among the red spider lilies and ended her life. She remembered her husband's childhood promise. "Didn't you say if I blew this whistle, you'd return to me?" Before dying, she recalled the past. She and her husband grew up together. Her family wanted to sell her, so he carried her away. They depended on each other and vowed to stay together forever. The irony was, he once said he wouldn't let anyone sell her, but later he sold her himself. She hoped her sacrifice would restore his conscience. She blew the little flute. Then she turned into a red spider lily. This was the 12th flower Dinghua collected. He had convinced 11 good people before, but the world was too cruel. Why kill the good to save the wicked? Dinghua was heartbroken, but there was no other way. So the question remained, did the red spider lily make people greedy, or did human greed create the flower? Next day, Dinghua met Xiaodu, a good man who refused to sacrifice himself. Xiaodu always wanted gambling. He used his winnings to care for a dozen orphans, but the orphans fought every day. They fought brutally. They scrambled for food like animals. This was the flower's influence. Dinghua said he had convinced many good people to die and remove the flowers, but Xiaodu refused. At night, he returned to his rundown shack. He tucked each child in. If a child had no blanket, he gave them his own clothes. Then he silently left. If the flower made people wicked, he could just leave forever. Why must he die to save the children and the town's bad people? Xiaodu decided to gamble with his life one last time. He quietly jumped into the river and escaped, but he worried about the world's decay, so he secretly followed the 3 monks. Sadly, everyone in this world gambled, not just Xiaodu. Farmers no longer farmed. They hunted fire cicadas in the woods. Just one fire cicada could sell for a high price, because its shell cured a deadly disease called cold plague. Cold plague came from people diving for ice pearls. These pearls were useless but loved by the rich for their beauty. The poor got sick seeking wealth. Then they needed expensive fire cicada shells to heal. In this vicious cycle, life grew harder. The urgent task was to uncover the flower's secret and restore peace. Dinghua's group finally gathered all 12 flowers. They prepared to go to the flower's origin, but then they met an old fortune teller. He had practiced divination for 40 years. He said he wouldn't live past sunset. As he spoke, a pillar collapsed nearby. Dinghua saved him, but then a boulder fell. The old man was pulled away again. The boulder hit a bridge. A wooden plank flew toward him. Again he was saved. Mortals cannot defy fate. This was his destiny. Heaven claimed him. He had to go. The old man read their fortune. If you go on, all 3 of you will die. But to save the world, they had to continue. They took the old man, thinking they could save him once more. On a broken bridge, the old man fell into the river. No one escapes fate. The fortune teller was gone. Dinghua's group finally reached the flower's origin. To open the path, they had to jump into the river. The outcome would be the same as the old man's death. Dinghua jumped without hesitation. He threw the 12 golden flowers and his sword. The path opened. At the bottom were many flower spores. There were also a few precious matches. The flowers ruining the world could be destroyed with just a few matches. Cold plague needed fire cicada shells. Fewer cicadas meant more flowers. Human greed grew worse. The cycle was born from human desire. All things in life are connected. Before they could destroy the flowers, a mysterious man appeared. He had followed them, waiting for this moment. He wanted to spread the spores worldwide. He believed the world had too many wicked people. The flowers only sped up their corruption. A world with only good people would be better. Dinghua's group was overpowered and badly injured. The man set a spell among the flowers. The sky filled with spores. The monks fought but failed to stop it. Dinghua and his men fell. The ground bloomed with red flowers. At the critical moment, Xiaodu, the undefeated gambler, appeared. He had followed them here. When the monks were trapped, Xiaodu noticed the man avoided him. Every time they met, the man fled. Xiaodu guessed. The man feared the golden flower in a truly good heart. But Dinghua had used all 12 to open the path. Xiaodu patted his chest and said, "There's one more." Dinghua knew this was their last chance. He attacked the man to help Xiaodu get close. Dinghua was injured, but Xiaodu reached the man's back. They were wrapped in a spell and turned into light. Dinghua raised his hand to the sky. Xiaodu became a golden flower and vanished with the man. But was the world truly saved? Maybe people didn't turn wicked because of the flower. Maybe their wickedness created the flower. Now a final question. Do you believe humans are born evil or good?